is? What's happening? So I thought I'd drop in for a hot minute and give a quick update on what's going on with the Jeep project. Matter of fact, let me just spin you around. It's easy. So as you can see, we went ahead and painted the frame. I painted all the way underneath of it. It's kind of hard to see. We don't have any lights on out here. I'm just actually working in the carport. That's a buddy of mine's Bronco that we're going to do some fender well headers on. A bunch of other work, but as you can see, shop's full. So we're just working in the carport. But it's all painted. I mean, we went as far as, went ahead and painted all the way up the front of the truck. We got all the rails painted all the way around. Not too hateful. Turned out pretty good. Now that that's all done, and that's all I used. Some good old Rust-Oleum. I've talked about this before on the channel. This is not a restoration project. This is just get it fixed and have some fun with that kind of truck. I did, however, prime it with their rusty metal primer and then went ahead and painted it black. It turned out really good. Now I did just put a couple coats because I got some rust here that I'm going to fix down the road, way down the road. I put like 3 or 4 heavy coats of their rusty metal primer on the outside, and then I got up underneath on the inside, globbed it on. And when it was tacked up, I went and globbed more on. So, is it going to stop the rust? Probably not, but it sure will slow it down for a long time. While I was underneath of it, after we sanded the frame, wire wheeled all the insides, took an air hose, blew it out real well, because the front half of the frame is actually boxed. So we blew all the garbage out as much as we could. Got the paint up in there best we can. I mean, we painted the insides of the rails, underneath, everything. Half the stuff you're not even going to see when the bed's on it. So, I'm not really worried if it gets chalky or faded. Most of it's going to be covered because it's going to have the cab on it and the bed on it, so it'll hide it. So now, our next step is we got to make brake lines, fuel lines for the truck. We need to get these plates off so I can we got an add leaf and we got a lift block for the rear. And I've got full 4-inch springs for the front. I still got to change the front rear and get the front rear out of the parts truck. Other things, let me spin you back around. Other things I've done, I added a temperature gauge, an oil gauge, and I had this cool automated clock. Put that down there on the bottom of the dash. Up there, that wire there is the lights that go to that. So we'll put them in. I do have a tack. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in or not, but I wanted a better temperature gauge and a better oil gauge for this thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. I already had the stuff. It was stuff I had laying around. So use what you have laying around. Saves you money. So next start of the project is, like I said, brake lines, fuel lines. I got to get the gas tank off of the other frame. No, I'm sorry, off the other bed. It's laying underneath the bed. It's actually bolted to the bed. Get it cleaned up. I'm going to paint that with the Master Series silver paint, which is an excellent rust paint. I want to use that on the tank. I'm going to bolt the tank under the new bed, and then we can set the bed on. But I kind of want to give a little quick update what was going on with the truck. Just got a lot of regular work I got to do. I got to put a set of headers on my buddy's Bronco. He's got fender well headers, and it's not looking like a fun job. This thing's got a 460 in it, which is cool. But it's got fender well headers. And as you can see, that's about all. I might have to remove the center fender well in order to get them bad boys out. Not looking like a fun job at all. Some of the stuff I get myself into. It's actually a pretty cool Bronco. It's not a rusty truck at all. He bought it this way, and he wheels it. Got aluminum dashing somebody made. He wants me to, that there, it's got a roll bar in it, and a roll bar in the back. This is the front half. He wants me to weld it in for him. I got to put some blocks in the rear because it's got one that's broke. Power steering pump, and some other little doodads. But that's, you know, this is the kind of stuff that I was known for back in the day. When I owned my full drive shop, this is the stuff I built, and this is the stuff I worked on for people all the time. So this is like going old school for me. So this will be a kind of interesting job. But, you know, that's what pays the bills. That's what gets these projects off the ground. Inside the shop, we got 16 Honda Pilot. We're putting the trans in. Trans cooler went bad. Got oil in the coolant and got coolant in the trans. So it wiped the trans out. So we're putting the trans in that truck. I don't know if it's a truck. It's a Honda Pilot. There's a Chevy van right there. Let's get the motor. I got an Equinox over here that the motor just showed up for. So we're kind of busy, you know, but that's the stuff that pays to keep these projects going. And I much rather do late model work. I don't really do a whole lot of this anymore. I'm doing this because it's a buddy of mine, but I really don't get into custom work anymore. I want to work on daily driver stuff. And a lot of guys ask me, why don't you want to work on a street rod? Why don't you want to work on a 69 Chevelle? Why does that stupid dolly got to be in my way when I'm walking? Always got to be something. And here's the reason why I don't want to work on that stuff. Now, this is a different story because that's a buddy of mine's truck. So that's a little different. But I don't want to work on street rods. I don't want to do custom work. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't want to do LS swaps. I don't want any of that kind of work. And some guys are like, oh, you're crazy, you're crazy. I don't want to do it. There's guys around town that'll do that kind of work. That's not me. That's not where I make my money. Where I make my money is daily driver, everyday vehicles. And the reason I don't want to work on that stuff, it's not because I don't know how to. Guys today just don't understand what it takes to bring. We'll use that Jeep. We're going to use that Jeep J10 as a prime example. I got the bed off the truck because we're going to put a bed on it anyway because the bed was rotted. We knew that. I also knew that the rear of the frame of the truck was crusty. I knew that. But what happens with customer work like that is guys don't realize what it takes to fix that kind of junk. So you get into that stuff, you get the bed off, and you find the frame's trashed. Brake lines are trashed. Truck needs rear brakes. Needs a gas tank. You know, now said customer thought, oh, he's just going to put a bed on it, make a couple things. Man, $2,000, I'm out the door. Now you call him and say, hey, buddy, the rear of the frame's rotted out. This thing needs all the brake lines, fuel lines. We're talking hours of work, hours of labor. At $120 an hour, goes fast, real fast. They get the end of they say, oh, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Then they get the bill. Whoa, $4,500? I thought we were just putting a bed on it. And that's why I don't want to do it. This, I look it up in a book. This is a 2016. It's got 140,000 miles on it. There's not a speck of oil or rust underneath of it. I can look up in the book. It says 12 hours. It might have been 13 or 14 hours to do the trans. I price it out. I price the trans out. Yes, we ran into the problem of when I drained the trans, I saw that it was milky, and then I checked the antifreeze and saw it was milky. I had called him back, but at least he was okay with it because at least now we have a cause of failure of why this trans took a crap, because we weren't feeling comfortable about it. Originally, I towed this car in because it was stuck in park. That's actually what was wrong with it. This car has a push button to take it out of park, push it to go in reverse, push it to go in drive, push button. Computer wouldn't take it out of park. Well, now we know why. Water in the trans, it probably did something to the solenoid, and we were kind of like, put a trans in it, but is that really what's wrong with this thing? But now we have a cause of failure, so we're okay. But these kind of jobs, I can look it up and go, this is what it cost. When you're doing something custom, you can't give a guy a price because you're going to run into stuff that you got to make. Sometimes making something could take an hour, could take 3 hours. You could make it in your head and go, oh, this is going to work, and then put it on said car and go, that ain't going to work. You got to start all over. That's why I don't want to do street rods. I don't want to do your buddy's 69 Chevelle, big block, LS swap. None of it. I don't want it. Take it somewhere else. I don't want anything to do with any of that street rod crap. No custom stuff. I'll fool with a little bit of mud truck stuff like that Bronco. But even nowadays, I'm kind of touch and go. I don't want to do a whole lot of it because, and that's a good example too, I can't really give him a price to put the headers on. And I told him that because, first off, I don't know if all the bolts are going to come out of it easy or not. Because after all, it's a mud truck and he's been four-wheeling it. But even if I get them off, there's no way to get those headers out of that little hole that's cutting the inner fender well. They're pretty big. I'll show you the new ones. So I might have to remove the fender and remove the inner fender well in order to get these headers out. So that's more time. And there's the new headers right there. And as you can see, they go way up that way. I don't think they're going to come out of that opening without taking that inner fender well out. But, you know, like I said, there's very few of those trucks I'll work on anymore. Projects, stuff like that. Mostly I want to work on late model stuff. But we're kind of getting off track here. This is supposed to be just about the J10. But the J10's coming along good. Frame's painted. It's really hot in here. I just opened it up. Might go out there and bend some lines up. I got to clean a couple of pieces up, bolt them back on the frame. Start making the lines. Biggest thing is I want to get the gas tank out of the other bed outside. But this sky don't look too promising, so we might be waiting until tomorrow to do that. Because it's really dark over there. That's over there by the water. So we'll see what happens. So look, my God, it's like 20 degrees cooler out here than it is in there. So I'm going to get at it. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update of what was going on with the Jeep. I've got some days off of the day job next week, and I'm just going to pound on that thing hard. And hopefully, by next weekend, we might get it on the beach. That's the whole goal. But I'm really pushing. And we're really grasping at straws at this point. We already should have had the bed back on this truck by this point in time, but I don't know. I don't know. If I work on a 2-day solid, I might have it back on the ground. Biggest thing is it going to pass inspection? I don't know. As far as lights and all that stuff and safety stuff, if I can get it to pass safety, I can get what's called a T-tag, just a paper tag. That's good for like 30 days. Insurance ain't a big deal. In fact, tomorrow I'm calling and putting on insurance. So that's a piece of cake. I'll do that tomorrow. So I'll have insurance on it so that when I do get it together, I can at least take it for a test drive. I don't care about the tags. But for Jeep Week, because it's over in Ocean City, Maryland, I really like to have it tagged. Even if I can get a T-tag. If I can get a T-tag, I can just throw that in the back window and I can bounce. And then we'll go from there. Because my only fear is emissions test, which is where they stick the old up the tailpipe. I mean, after all, this thing's been sitting for a hot minute. So, I don't know. Plus, I got no cat converters on it. So, I don't know if it's going to pass that. But that's okay, because if it fails for that, I can at least get a T-tag. So, keep you updated on where we go. Next move is get some brake lines on it, get some brakes on it. Like I said, the weather is not looking too good out here. So, I'm not going to go fooling around outside. So, probably just fool around here a little bit. And then I got to do some more work on that Honda. So, look. Holla at you boys. Keep it real. Catch me on the next one.